Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Friday, May 1st, 2020. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr., and joining me is Tim fucking Geddes.
We need to host every day together, Bless, because every time we do, something
Dude.
happens. Something big, momentous goes down.
Something big happens whenever me and you host together now, man. First, what was it the first time?
It's not always
Monday?
good. There was some Last of Us delays, but then we brought it back. You know what I mean?
We brought it.
That
was the thing. Yeah, me and you both delayed Last of Us. Me and you both brought it back, and now we brought back gaming for the whole summer.
We brought back E3 kind of and just spread it out over a long time and made it all very ambiguous but exciting nonetheless.
See, Tim, I want to commend you because I feel like throughout this whole work from home situation, you've kept your style up in a way that I have to respect. Your hair looks great, and of course, that's probably due to Old Spice pomade. The headphones are fresh. Even the bunny guy in the background,
the peep, dude, he's peeping.
Kind of funny blue. Keeping it consistent. Everything matches.
There we go.
I respect it.
There we go. Yeah, man. See, you got to match the lights. A little bit of that green, got that red, got that orangey stuff going on.
All that orangey stuff.
Boom. Let's get into it, Bless. I want to talk about this shit.
Let's get into it because there's a lot of exciting news stories today. Today's stories include stories like Jeff Keighley's summer plans, GDC going all digital, and more, because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, or you can listen later on YouTube on podcast services around the globe by searching for Kind of Funny Games Daily. To be a part of the show, head to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, where bronze members or above get to write in, and silver members or above get the show ad-free along with the exclusive daily post show. Now it's time for some housekeeping. This month is Kevin's birthday month, and so every day this month we're celebrating Kevin. Kevin, happy birthday month.
Happy birthday month, Kevin.
Kevin, how old are you turning this month?
I'll be turning 30. Oh, you don't have to do this, though. Come on. Come on.
Every day this month, we're celebrating Kevin. It's Kevin's birthday month.
He's a good guy, Bless.
You're a good guy.
I
love you, Kevin. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Mom and Muhammad and Blackjack. Today, we're brought to you by Old Spice, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 3 stories today.
Baker's dozen!
Starting with a doozy. Jeff Keighley announces Summer Game Fest. I'm pulling from various sources. I'm going to start off with a tweet thread, or not a tweet thread, but a tweet from Jeff Keighley where he did the thing where he screenshotted the Notes app. So you know it's serious. Whenever somebody screenshots the Notes app, you're about to get into some shit.
Someone's either getting canceled or some good news is happening.
Or some good news is coming.
Two options.
Thankfully, this time around, it's some great news. And so I'm reading directly from his tweet. He tweeted today, this morning, quote, "Since I was a kid, one of my favorite parts of the summer has been seeing all the video game companies band together to hype us up about the future of this incredible medium. This year has been a challenge for all of us. For a while, I thought 2020 might be the first time in 25 years we didn't have a big magic industry-wide moment. It really bummed me out to see everything fracture. More than ever, this is a year we need a positive, uplifting center of gravity to bring this global community together. So that's what we're going to build. Today, I'm proud to announce Summer Game Fest, a 4-month-long season of news events from all your favorite game platforms and publishers. It's all the news you've been waiting for, but also in-game events, playable content, and demos of select titles, and a bunch of fun surprises. Summer Game Fest isn't a singular show, but a whole season 4 events. The schedule hub at summergamefest.com will guide you through the next 4 months to make sure you don't miss a thing. And trust me, there are some amazing events coming, and I'm working on some plans for a developer showcase with my friends at I'm 8-Bit, and of course, Gamescom opening night live on August 24th as a big season finale. Thanks to all the game companies and developers who are working hard under challenging circumstances to keep us entertained. I hope SGF, Summer Game Fest, is a way to show these artists just how much their work helps us get through uncertain and scary times. Keep playing the future. Gaming is about to get really bright this summer. Jeff. Tim. Yeah. Exciting words from an exciting man.
Definitely, man. Jeff's proven that he's got what it takes. He has the connections, he has the know-how, the energy, the skill, and the ability really to kind of bring people together and get everyone that needs to commit to a vision. Yeah. And I love this. This is the new E3, and I think that this is going to be a first draft and a first attempt, like baby steps towards what this might look like forever, like what we'll be looking back, 10 years from now on what this could be. Having said that, though, we're talking about a guy and a team that have proven themselves year after year now with Game Awards and with Opening Night Live last year that they know how to do this type of stuff. So in many ways, this isn't a first try. This is going to be something that is, a well executed, well oiled machine. And I think that he knows he has something special in his hands. Like referring to this as phase one, this image, having this be a multi-month event. He added a month to summer. If I remember correctly, summer only has 3 months, but he said, fuck
usually
that. We're making it 4.
We're starting summer right now.
It's exciting stuff. It's change is scary. And I think that, there's a lot of trying to like clasp onto these memories that we all have of E3, this like kind of shared, week of love for video games, and trying to make it this moment. I don't know how they're going to create a moment over 4 months. Like that kind of is contradictory, right? Like, how, like, there's something about the excitement of knowing that all the big guys were going to make their announcements back-to-back days. Within like 4 days of that weekend leading into E3, we got everything at once, and there's that competitive nature. This probably is going to be better for the industry overall. But I wonder how much it's actually going to kind of have these kind of tentpole press conference type moments, right? I like that he was referring to not one night only. I always call it that. Opening Night Live. As the season finale. Like that's such a cool thing to be building towards, especially with this idea of phase one, with this list of iconic publishers and developers that they're bringing some heat.
Oh yeah, like I think this is an excellent idea. Jeff Keighley, as you all know, is a force in the games industry, like you said, right? Game Awards over the past however many years has been growing and growing and getting better and better and more refined, and at this point has a clear voice and vision that you can follow and you can look at and you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, okay, yeah, like even though when Schick Hydro Man comes through, there's some awkwardness there, and there's some like rough edges that could use some smoothing out. Overall, like Game Awards has a vision, and it's become one of the staples of when you think of events in the industry, right? Like Game Awards is one of them. Opening Night Live, again, like is another one where he came through. I think that was started either last year or the year before.
That was last year at Gamescom.
Was it last year? Yeah, like fairly new thing, but it worked, right? It was a thing that really, I'm not going to say put Gamescom on the map because Gamescom was already on the map, but I think it's a thing that really helped Gamescom translate worldwide into an event that people should tune into and pay attention to.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, I would argue it did put Gamescom on the map in terms of the viewer base of having a press conference of substance. Like we've seen Xbox and PlayStation in the past have things, but usually it would always be a trade-off between Paris Games Week, Tokyo Game Show, and Gamescom. It was never this E3 type moment. And like I've talked about this a lot with Jeff Keighley, man. I'm so impressed with what he's been able to accomplish, but the least of which is the fact that he's created this single only place where Game Awards has this press conference that everyone's at. You'll see Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox making announcements on the same stage. E3, you
holding
never
hands,
got that, right? Like literally holding hands. And that took many years, but I think that it's so cool that you're watching this thing. There's such a celebration of video games. And I know people have like their thoughts on the award side of things, but let's just talk about Opening Night Live. Like I feel like that last year was a very concerted effort to take the power of E3 away. Like I think Jeff's been working towards this for years, and I think that having that event last year was the baby steps that I'm talking about that are leading us to this. And he wants to have these moments throughout the year. So if we have this summer of gaming every year that goes into the season finale of Opening Night Live, then we have a couple months for the fall for all the games to come out and stuff, and then we have the Game Awards at the end of the year. That's such a nice back and forth, man. Like I was born on June 30th. My birthday is halfway through the year. You know how nice it was growing up, getting presents in June 30th, and then on Christmas, it was just perfect. Every 6 months, perfectly balanced as all things should be, right? And that's what Jeff Keighley's creating here.
Yeah, I think this is very future looking for quite a few reasons, right? Like over the last generation, we've talked about E3 slowly dying. right? E3 kind of getting less importance as the years go on and becoming more of an archaic thing as digital begins to grow, and as people are able to find more avenues and find more legitimacy in other ways to show off your games outside of E3. To me, this is the biggest step of that. To me, this is almost like the nail in the coffin, and if everything goes the way that Jeff Keighley probably wants it to go, right? Like the idea that you have a whole summer now. You're not just restricted to 1 week, to one event, to where like either you show up to E3 or you don't, and if you don't, I guess we'll see you next year, right? Like you have a whole 4-month period where you can come out and partner with Jeff Keighley and put on your stream, put on your event, put on your whatever it may be, and come out and shine. Like you said, right? Like we're not going to have, if this continues to become the future, right? We're not going to have that week of like moments, but I think if all things go right, like this can then create for a season of various moments in a way that is going to be good for developers and publishers and companies, right? Like, the idea that you can own a day, right? Fortnite can just own a day during this summer of gaming event, right? You don't have to share a day with Microsoft and Bethesda and these other companies that are also racing to get their announcements out there, right? You have a whole summer of, you have a whole season of room where you're allowed to breathe, right? Like the idea that, Jeff Keighley here in a series of tweets, he points to Inside Xbox, right? He says here, a couple tweets after his original tweet about opening night, not opening night live, about Summer Game Fest. He tweets, quote, "There are so many amazing at Summer Game Fest events planned. The schedule launches soon on the website, and next Thursday, Xbox will have a special Inside Xbox episode at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time with Xbox Series X gameplay," right? Like,
hilarious,
implying that,
dude. I love it, man. Jeff Keighley, this is the type of shit, how you own this and how you make this work is like you put yourself next to the big dogs and make it seem like it's part of the same thing, even if it's not. But that's the type of schemes that allow this to work. Because if this were to happen, and what I love about this too is we've been talking for months now on like, when is everyone going to start claiming those dates in May and June? Because everyone's saying they're doing stuff, but we're not really getting anything. I love that it's right when Xbox puts the date out of Inside Xbox. We're doing the third-party reveal next Thursday. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, GDC's here, and now this here. Like, I bet we're about to get a lot more dates in the next week, kind of rolling out through all of this. And I think that Jeff kind of like taking ownership of all of them is a baller-ass move, first off, that I don't think anyone else in the industry can really do. I mean, like, I think it's crazy that, like, IGN has its Summer of Gaming. I'm extremely excited to see what that ends up being. But the irony of this is I feel like it's just going to end up feeling like a part of Jeff's thing.
Yeah, like same with GameSpot's. I forget what they have theirs called. I think it might be called, not Play at Home. It's Play something. I forget what GameSpot's thing is. But they also have one that is analogous to IGN's Summer of Gaming event, right? Like, yeah, this seems to be in the same vein. Play for All, thank you. This seems to be in the same vein as those, but in a way that is even more all-encompassing. Of like, if you look at the list, like his phase 1 tweet with the list of all the publishers and companies that are partnered with him, right? Like he has both PlayStation and Microsoft on there, right? Like, which is crazy, right?
I mean,
that's
and CD Projekt Red and Blizzard and Bungie and Bethesda. Like, he has everyone. There's 2 exceptions that I'm noticing though. He has WB there too. We got no.
He has WB there.
We have no Ubisoft, and we have no motherfucking Nintendo, man. Well, let's talk about Nintendo later in this. I have some shit to shoot.
Yeah, I want to continue actually, because GamesIndustry.biz I think has the best write-up on this. They got to interview Jeff Keighley about pretty much all the things, and I read the whole article, and it's long. Rebecca Valentine did an excellent job, but I'm not going to read the whole article here. Instead, I've kind of chopped it up into portions that I think are important and interesting things to look at. And so this is from GamesIndustry.biz. The article is titled "Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest is his latest push to rally the industry," of course, written again by Rebecca Valentine. It reads, "Back in February, when Jeff Keighley announced he would be bowing out of his annual role hosting E3's Coliseum event, he was fairly certain he was in for a long break. And even when E3 was canceled in March due to COVID-19, he still figured he'd be taking several months off before taking the stage again for Gamescom opening night live in August. But then people started approaching him, asking if he was doing anything. And as Keighley does, he began talking to publishers and to platforms and to fans. At first, he says everyone seemed to think there would essentially be a digital version of E3. But when it became clear that that was no longer the case, everyone Keighley spoke to still wanted some kind of unifying concept for their summer announcements and events. Quote, if I found that it didn't have to be me on a shiny black floor stage hosting a show every day, Keighley says, it's more just like being a traffic cop to navigate all this for everyone and line things up. End quote. The result is Keighley's Summer Game Fest, a 4-month-long global festival of everything games running from May through August, fostered by partnerships with over a dozen major publishers and platforms. Keighley describes the Summer Game Fest as less of a single event and more of a Google Calendar for industry digital showcases, game trailers, launches, in-game events, and free digital demos.
What a fucking boss move!
Yeah, man.
He's taking ownership of the industry.
Yep. He says it's not a forum, nor is it competing with other media outlets, not even GameSpot and IGN, who are also doing their own E3 substitute events in June. His goal, he says, was simply to give the industry something to rally around, and it seems to have worked, at least in that he has many of the industry's biggest names on board: 2K, Activision, Bandai Namco, Bethesda, Blizzard, Bungie, CD Projekt Red, Digital Extremes, Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Sony, Square Enix, Private Division, Riot Games, Steam, and Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. They're all confirmed participants, and more are expected to join in the coming weeks. Yep, insane. One notable admission, Nintendo, but Keighley says he hopes that the remaining console maker will join in later, as the Summer Game Fest is open to all publishers and platform holders. And so, yeah, back to like that Nintendo conversation, right? Like there was news earlier this week that, or reports, I guess, that they are not doing like an E3 timed direct or event. Right, like everything for them is kind of postponed because of the work from home situation, and them not being able to get things together. And so I think from reports, people are saying that we're not going to see them do an event until possibly like August, September time.
Yeah, which is, really, really, really upsetting. Obviously, we're in a time where there are no rules, and it feels petty to be upset about things like entertainment. But having said that, look, I have a little bit of an issue with Nintendo right now as a fan, because not only I'm not an Animal Crossing guy. Animal Crossing was the only game we really knew about in 2020 coming from Nintendo. It's here. It's a success. It's killing it. So at the end of the day, I can't complain about their strategy because it's working. They can't keep enough Switches on store shelves right now. Animal Crossing is breaking records and doing super well. So it's not like they need to listen to me on advice of how to run their company. Having said that, I haven't played a new game on my Switch since November when Pokemon Sword and Shield came out. I have not played a new game on my Nintendo Switch. That's a problem. Not every game is going to be speaking to every Nintendo fan. But the thing about the Switch that succeeded so far for the last 4 years is that every year there was enough titles that I can pick and choose, that every couple months at least I'm getting something of substance that speaks to me, or that I'm at least open to giving a shot, right? And not only have we not had that since November, no major game except for Animal Crossing. The last Nintendo Direct that was making announcements was September. There's been a Direct Mini last month, but even Nintendo themselves didn't hype that up because they knew there was nothing worth hyping. And it was a mini. The last proper Nintendo Direct with announcements was September last year. So are we not going to get another Nintendo Direct with announcements until September this year? So am I not going to play a new Nintendo game from November last year to earliest September this year? And like, I get that the COVID stuff, like, it has a lot to do with that, but there was a big time period where that wasn't the case. So I'm sure that all their plans got like messed up, and of course things have changed, but it's like, I think that we've seen a lot of people kind of talk shit about Sony reverting to the old Sony towards the end of the PS4 life cycle, right? When it first came out, it was game, making all the right decisions. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the personalities aren't on the stage anymore. And like, oh, all this is changing. It's like, maybe I just have Stockholm syndrome of being a Nintendo fan during their worst times. But like right now is reminding me a lot of the N64's game release schedule, the GameCube, the weird middle part of the Wii U as a whole. And it's like, that's not good. And again, I get that they're in a weird place, but so now the Smash DLC is the thing that I'm looking forward to most in June. There's rumors of the Mario collection, but if they're not announcing that in a June event, when are they announcing that? Right? Breath of the Wild, Metroid. Like, I'm assuming those aren't this year anymore, even if they were going to be, which is, again, understandable with where we're at. But I feel like there was a fatal error made in not at least announcing things earlier or late last year, early this year, to at least keep us going with something.
I mean, I feel like the mistake for them is that it's worked fine for them up to this moment. Like last year, we at E3 we got well, last year wasn't Super Mario Party. Last year was Luigi's Mansion, and we had like Fire Emblem that was announced like before that we knew was upcoming last fall, right? Like
Link's
they had
Awakening.
Link's Awakening, right?
Sword and
Announced at
Shield.
E3. Like
Astral
they've usually done a good job of spacing those things out, and like by E3, usually it's E3 time where we have the full idea of what the fall is going to look like, right? Like E3 was when we were like, okay, cool, like this fall doesn't look that bad. Like we are getting major games, we're getting Pokemon, we're getting Luigi's Mansion, all these things. I think this time around it's bitten them in the ass, because yeah, at this point, right, like No More Heroes is scheduled for this year, and then like when we think of Nintendo games, like there's not really anything on the docket that's dated for 2020.
No, and
right?
like that's
Bayonetta
the
is out there
thing.
somewhere. Like Shin
Nebulously.
Megami Tensei is
will that even ever happen?
We'll
we're
see.
in this bizarre place where and we've been here way too long, quite frankly. Like it's not fun to be a Nintendo fan right now, and unless you're in Animal Crossing, which many people are, and again, it's working. So it's like I'm sitting here bitching, but I'm just bitching here as somebody that's a genuine fan that kind of feels a little slighted, because going into the Switch, the most exciting prospect was that they learned from the Wii U. They were reporting all those things. We had such a good running start, but no longer were they going to focus on the 3DS and a console. It was just going to be one output on a system. And there's just been a very long amount of time in this console's life cycle, 3-4 years in, that there's a gap, and it's like Animal Crossing is only going to keep that going for so long.
I wonder if this is their plan also, is like, okay, let's get Animal Crossing out in early in the year and make that our big title for the first half, and then in the second half, like if the reports are true, right, maybe have those Mario games out. Maybe the fact that one, COVID is a thing, and then also the next gen consoles are launching, maybe it's a chance for them to fall back and really gear up for a big 2021 where they can have some of that focus back on them, because next year, you imagine Breath of the Wild 2 is going to come out. If fingers crossed, if everything goes the way I need it to go for me to be happy in 2021, right? You imagine that's going to come out. You imagine possibly Bayonetta 3, like who knows? But then you imagine those Mario games might line up with that too, and what that includes, like Paper Mario and a possible Mario 64 remaster. Like that could be a big year for them if
totally
fall right.
Absolutely.
Maybe that is also like for that year to be a big year for them, it's kind of required for them to kind of have an off year this year.
I mean, to really condense everything I just said, it's going to be a major bummer if the last Nintendo game I play was Pokemon Sword and Shield last November until they gear up for their 2021 next year. That's not fun as a fan.
All that said, I bet they partner with Summer of Gaming, right?
And
with Jeff Keighley.
It being phase 1 definitely makes me feel good about stuff like and them talking, like he's working on it. Like Nintendo's in a weird place right now because of the situation. So all of it makes sense. We're gonna get some bangers. So
Nintendo loves Jeff Keighley too.
Yeah,
like totally. Nintendo loves Jeff Keighley, and so I'd be shocked if we don't get something, like get word of something happening with Nintendo and Summer Game Fest by like July or August, right? Like I bet you, like maybe like it's even an opening night live thing, right? Where like Nintendo comes out and really like gives their bangers for the fall there. Like I wouldn't be surprised because they have such a connection. Nintendo's had a huge presence at previous Game Awards. Like that to me would make sense for them to eventually get on board, unless really it is them being like, yeah, like working from home fucked us and we just don't know, which could be a possibility.
Totally.
I want to pull another quote here from GamesIndustry.biz regarding Jeff breaking off from E3, which we talked about earlier in the year, right? And we always kind of had the question of like, what happened with E3? Why did Jeff Keighley like leave and IM8-bit like leave like a month after they were announced like partnering with it, right? Like what's up with that? This quote kind of gives some context. And so Quote, this is Jeff Keighley talking. I just didn't feel confident that the show was going to best represent the industry. And honestly, what I pitched to E3 initially was something that was more digital and global, because that's where I wanted to see things go anyways. End quote. Now, without E3, Keighley says that we shouldn't anticipate a single heavy-hitting week of major publisher-led announcement showcases in early June, not even digitally. Though early June might be a bit more packed than the rest of it, one of the reasons Keighley opted for a 4-month-long festival is because the industry has pivoted to spreading its announcements out over that time already. And so, again, more openness and honesty from Jeff Keighley, which I like. It almost reminds me of Phil Spencer and how open and honest he is when he's talking about Xbox, which we have a news story about later.
The difference being that Phil Spencer's pushing his product, where Jeff's just trying to own everyone's products. But yeah, again, I feel like there needs to be a ringleader in order for this to work. Like, in order for the idea of E3 to evolve and live, it needs somebody that is it needs a Kevin Feige, right? And like, I'm okay with Jeff being that for the games industry, because what I would love to see, and it might not happen this year, it might not happen next year, but I'd love 3 years from now if instead of us doing our Gamescast E3 predictions topic, it is a, summer, what's this event called?
Summer Game Fest. There's too many summer gaming
exactly
events.
But it's just a Summer Game Fest predictions topic that we do, and there's an understanding, instead of it being like, oh, Sony goes Tuesday or Monday night, Nintendo goes Tuesday morning, it's more like, oh, we know that May is Microsoft, June is Nintendo, July is PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like, if somehow these phases could kind of eventually become a little bit more like
templated,
people
organized.
So there's because if it's organized, then everyone gets their moment, and it's like there's that sense of competition that would remain because everyone still has eyes on each other. But then there it kind of takes away that need to just to throw everything out to die and get buried because you can't cover it all equally on IGN.com.
Yeah. Some more tidbits that I'm going to pull from the article, and these are the last tidbits that I have here. The platform holders, of course, will have their own digital events around which other announcements will coalesce, and those will be the heavy hitters of the season. But he adds, talking about Jeff Keighley, much of the rest of the Summer Game Fest will be focused around individual games doing their own events and announcements, rather than each publisher or platform dropping everything at once, which is interesting. Quote, it seemed clear that game companies were still going to be doing events, but for a while, it was unclear if their timelines changed because of coronavirus and work from home. The demo that they were going to do for E3 is probably the first thing that gets cut out of their production schedule because they still are trying to meet deadlines. So there are a lot of conversations amongst all the platforms and publishers on what they were going to do, and it became clear that it wasn't all going to line up to 2 or 3 days where everything was going to happen. So again, like, the Summer Game Fest seems to be just the perfect storm of, work from home and COVID-19 has kind of screwed things up in production schedules. Having a whole summer in order to have those moments exist, to have your announcements and have your demos and do all these things, kind of allows you to, one, have your own space, be able to make your own announcements, not get trampled over by other companies and all these other announcements that are going to be going on during 1 week. Mm-hmm. But then also have the time to finish your stuff, right? Since a lot of production schedules are getting fucked right now with work from home. So get your things done. If you can't get it out in June, get it out in July or August, and make it work from there. So once again, brilliant idea. It makes sense that Jeff Keighley would do this. I feel like we probably could have predicted that this would happen in some sort of way, because this seems to be the type of dude that Jeff Keighley is, where he has vision and he kind of goes for it, and he has the connections to make that vision work. So again, good for him. Cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got a question here from Frank Furter, who writes into patreon.com/kindafunnygames, just like you can, and says, "Good morning, Blessing and Tim. Good guy Jeff Keighley announced Summer Game Fest, in which its news, in-game events, and playable content rolled neatly into one long event starting this month. He also released a photo stating Phase 1, which had the logos of major developers and, more importantly, PlayStation and Xbox. I'm very excited to see this roll out as it's finally begging to feel like next gen. However, I have a couple of questions. One, do you think Sony will partner with Summer Game Fest to reveal the PS5, or will they do it on their own stage? 2, will Xbox's game reveals next week be announced as part of this event, or again, will they be doing it on their own? 3, what are your thoughts on the overall presentation of this event? Should this have been a Twitter reveal with a small trailer like it was, or would Jeff announcing an event and proceeding to go into the first part of this event been stronger? Thanks for all you do, and have a great weekend, Frank Furter.
To answer 1 and 2 with the Sony partnering and Xbox partnering, I don't think so. I think they're going to do their own things, and they're just going to he's going to kind of like talk about them as if they are part of it. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point maybe like the Xbox stuff like makes reference to like it's about passing the baton. It's about hey, like here's the announcements. You can see more during like next month during this event or whatever, and it's about continuing the coverage of the games and making this all part of the PR hype cycle. In terms of my thoughts on the overall presentation of this event, I think that they nailed it. I think that like this is really all that they had to do like I said earlier, I think that Jeff was just waiting for an official date to be dropped by one of the big guys to then kind of just piggyback onto it. And here we are. That happened. I don't know that there's much more to announce than this. I feel like this leaves just enough for all of us to be super hyped and interested. And they gave us enough things to be waiting for where it's like, okay, cool. This is phase 1, which implies there's more phases. And in addition to that, they said, stay tuned for dates soon. So it's like the website is going to give us more information very soon. I think this is kind of like the key that opened the door to the industry being like, okay, that rumored WB conference, we're going to get a date for that soon. The Ubisoft conference, we're going to get a date for that soon. Like, I think that people now need to start locking down their plans. And Jeff kind of gave them that call to action of like, guys, it's time. Like, I'm giving you 4 months, choose a date.
Yeah, Jeff really, I think, is working as like an organizer here, and almost like an aggregator of like, all right, here we're gonna field everything under this bigger brand of Summer Game Fest, but do your own thing, right? PlayStation, their event for PS5 is not going to be like the Summer Game Fest PS5 reveal. It's not going to be, right? Because PlayStation wants to have ownership of their own brand. PlayStation sees themselves as bigger as Summer Game Fest, right? Like they really want to have ownership of what that's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if, it is the baton passing thing of what you're talking about, right? Like, hey, they finished the PlayStation event, and then next week we see an announcement of like, hey, first gen PlayStation, or not first gen, next gen launch title for PS5 is going to have an extended demo here that is partnered with Jeff Keighley and Summer Game Fest. That is like either Jeff Keighley sitting down with developers, and maybe it's like via webcam because maybe people don't want to meet up yet, but like, it's him sitting down, him like, taking a look, him kind of leading that charge of like what this coverage looks like, and maybe this is going too far, but maybe it is him even being like, all right, PlayStation is partnering with Summer Game Fest for some sort of coverage, I don't know, and then Summer Game Fest then passes the baton to IGN in some sort of way. Like, I'm sure as this goes, we'll get a clearer idea of what all this really is, but I think really what it comes down to is organization and,
All right, so let's find out. I guess we lost. I'm gonna drop out of the call and drop back in. What button do I? Maybe this one. That one.
Right.
Hey man, you guys cut out for a minute.
Yeah, I saw it. Are we live now?
Oh, the internet cut out.
Oh no.
Hold on. It's interesting because I still have the call. It's just OBS. We're still recording, so.
Still recording, so we're good on that end.
Yeah. Oh, OBS is crashing, I think. Can someone move? Thank you.
I'm moving.
Oh, now OBS is crashing for reals. Oh, no. Please hold. And it's back.
We're back. Are we?
I'm hitting the stream button. Looks
Kevin,
like everything's good.
Your image on Discord has like the rotating blocks.
It sure does.
Yeah, just a heads up. Are we good to continue though?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Sorry, everybody. We had like a quick cut because Kevin's whole thing crashed. So we're back now. Or was it Discord that crashed? It wasn't OBS.
No, I'm sorry. Well, it was Discord and then OBS.
Gotcha.
Doesn't matter. We're back.
doesn't matter. We're back. We're here to talk about video games. But yeah, as I was saying, right, it's gonna be a whole like what you were saying. It's gonna be a whole baton passing situation when it comes to what Summer Game Fest is, I believe.
And us as gamers need to support this, man. I think that this is the best possible future, and I think that we need to show up. We need to, give the feedback and like see what works and what doesn't, and want this to work. And I feel like that it's not going to be perfect out of the gate, but I think that again, we just need to be supportive of it and understand there's going to be kinks.
Billy the Door writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like you can, and says, big news, looks like Jeff Keighley took matters into his own hands and is coordinating a multi-company E3 replacement spanning the entire summer. Do you see this event replacing E3 in future years? It seems to offer companies more flexibility in terms of timing when they can announce things, and the gamers still look forward to big announcements. A win-win. Thanks and love, y'all. Billy.
I mean, real talk, I think the goal would be, who cares? Like, I think for Jeff, it's a win-win of this either replaces E3 or E3 becomes part of it.
Yeah,
right.
Honestly, like that would make sense. Like in essence, I think that would in spirit kind of replace E3, right? If this becomes like the bigger event that people look forward to, right? Summer of Gaming becomes the thing where it's like people in December are tweeting like, man, I can't believe Summer of Gaming is only 6 months away, right? Instead of E3. I think that is the goal for Jeff. I do think that this becomes a replacement and possibly like the eventual death of E3. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years, like E3 is like, what's the point anymore?
Him referring to one night only,
opening night live,
as the season finale. It's like, well, you need a season premiere, right? And like, I don't think that Jeff.
Damn, that's a bar, Tim.
Thank you. I don't think that he wants it to be E3. He of course would want to own the property of it and have control over it. But guess what? If you can do an opening night live for Gamescom, you can do one for E3.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. I think the thing that E3 has that is hard to replace is the idea of press coming to one location and being able to demo games and being able to give impressions and an actual like hands-on coverage. That's a more difficult thing to do via the digital events. But
here's the thing,
Gamescom and opening night live being a thing might also, help kind of usher that event into being more of like the place where you go for that kind of thing.
But a lesser known thing, Judges Week was also a Keighley thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, even with E3, he was still the guy that was doing the get your hands on impressions the like week or two before E3. Like, he's thinking fourth dimensionally, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Jeff Keighley's out here making Doctor Strange moves. You know what I mean? We're in the end game now. This is Jeff Keighley's end game.
Yeah, he's giving them.
Story number 2. Phil Spencer says there's no delay expected for Xbox Series X. I'm pulling this from Joe Screbbles at IGN, who writes, head of Xbox Phil Spencer has reiterated that Xbox Series X isn't currently looking at any kind of launch delay, saying it's, quote, in line with where we thought we would be, end quote. But has said that production of games themselves is the bigger unknown amid the COVID-19 outbreak. Speaking on CNBC's Squawk Alley, Spencer made clear that Xbox hardware development was continuing at a somewhat expected pace. Quote, the teams are doing a really good job on keeping our hardware on track. On the hardware side, we feel good about our plans. There's obviously some impact to schedules, but overall, I think we're in line with where we thought it would be, end quote. However, Spencer made clear that games production is less predictable because of its less centralized creation. Quote, I'd say the bigger unknown is probably the game production. Just being honest, game production is a large scale entertainment activity now. You have hundreds of people coming together, building assets, working through creative, end quote. It's worth noting that Spencer isn't saying that game delays are coming, just that they're harder to predict. Quote, we're learning every day, he continued. I still feel good about it, but I also need to make sure that the security and safety of the teams is the more important thing and not unduly push when things aren't ready, end quote. Spencer has spoken to IGN previously about this issue and made clear that a game delay, even to a flagship launch title like Halo Infinite, would be extremely unlikely to delay the launch of the Series X itself. Analysts have speculated to IGN that while consoles may not see a delay, they could see launch shortages. Recent reports suggested that would indeed be the case for PS5, which could see limited availability in its first year. Tim, Phil Spencer's out here being open and honest. He's doing what we all love about him. Xbox Series X doesn't seem likely to get a delay. Do you buy it?
I do buy it. I mean, again, the transparency king right here, Phil Spencer coming through. On Gamescast a couple days ago, that just went live on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. We did an update to our predictions we made earlier in the year and kind of went through and made any changes that we thought were accurate nowadays. And I feel that with Xbox, like one of the arguments I was making is that despite him saying all this stuff like earlier with IGN, that I still don't think that they would launch the Xbox without Halo. So even though they're saying that, it's like something in my gut tells me that they wouldn't, unless the delay was substantial enough that they're like, there's going to be a shortage of the systems anyways. We got to get them out. Everything's just out of whack right now because of the Corona stuff. So it's like, I kind of see them, and we talked about this a lot on the PlayStation side, where it's like they don't necessarily need Horizon 2 at launch because there won't be enough systems for people to want to buy it that weren't going to anyways, right? Like maybe wait until there's a bit more available units in the wild for people to be able to buy and be excited, which sucks for the launch, sucks for the hype, sucks for just us as gamers being able to experience these things correctly. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised either way at this point. If they went back on this and delayed the system because Halo wasn't ready, or if they stuck with this and Halo does get delayed and they stick to it because their vision isn't just about Halo. It's about, their ecosystems and all that. And Microsoft's went 5 years without a big banger game. So what's another one?
I want to throw a hypothetical scenario your way.
Mm-hmm.
Say we get to September, right? Halo Infinite gets delayed. Yeah. PS5 sticks their flag in the sand and they're like, we're coming out, let's say November for sure, right? PS5 is not getting delayed. We can confirm. We have everything built. Stores are prepped, all that stuff. Do you think Xbox still would still possibly get delayed? Because I don't think Xbox Series X can get delayed as long as PS5 sticks its ground. And I know like there have been reports before that PS5 will get delayed. Will possibly get delayed if Xbox gets delayed, because that's kind of like the only scenario where they would probably want to delay. But in that hypothetical scenario, what do you think Xbox does?
At this point, I feel like both systems are coming out when they were planned to, like at the end of this year. And I think that you're right that, if PlayStation comes out, Xbox coming out. I feel like Xbox is coming out before PlayStation, almost regardless of any of this. Like, I think that they're just in a different place. They just do things differently than PlayStation's been doing things. And again, this is the weirdest gen transition we've ever had. So there are no rules. Anything can happen. And I wouldn't be surprised about much, but I do think that Xbox is looking at this they want to hit that holiday. And it's like, even though this is the weirdest holiday in recorded history, there's still going to be people that want to buy this.
Story number 3, Tim.
Yes.
GDC Summer is going fully digital. This comes from a blog post from their website. They write, "We have been continuously reviewing the best ways to serve the game development community over the past few months as the world has continued to adapt to developments. While we very much look forward to meeting again in person as soon as possible, we're moving forward with the plan to transform GDC Summer into an all-digital event in order to best serve our community. As so many game developers embrace remote working arrangements and online collaboration, we're inspired to adapt and deliver GDC in a digital format that will be available to everyone with an internet connection, and will work hard to deliver the high-quality content and networking opportunities GDC attendees have come to expect. We believe in the power of gathering our community to share, inspire, and strengthen our industry, and are committed to providing that opportunity in August. We look forward to sharing more information about GDC Summer soon." So there you go. Your newest update on GDC.
More stuff, and soon we'll find out where this fits on the Jeff Keighley Google Calendar of life.
Yeah, no, I expect to see that. I expect to see GDC connected to Summer Game Fest in some sort of way. I think this, I'm shocked that PAX West is still seeming like it's going to they haven't announced that they're either going digital or just canceling the event yet, and I assume that probably has to do with the convention center and them probably needing the city to cancel it so they can get some sort of money back for the event. But I'm curious to see when the next big gaming gathering is going to happen, because 2020 I think it's ruled out. It's a
Yeah,
wash.
I agree.
I'm curious to see if PAX East happens. I'd be surprised because PAX East happens in February usually. I'd be surprised if we're back at a place by then where we can gather that many people together.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
we'll
if I
see.
remember correctly, PAX East varies between February and April, year to year. I might be
Like
wrong
February,
about
March.
that,
Yeah, like early March to February. Because like I think a couple years ago it was March, and then the big hubbub this last year was that it was in February, meaning that it was going to be way more colder.
yeah.
So
So there's
we'll
that,
see.
man.
We'll see.
Before we move on, I do want to say, because I wasn't on the show yesterday to talk about the Inside Xbox news that dropped. Of course, we're doing a live reaction next Thursday, 8 a.m. Here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames.
Can't wait.
We're doing it with Snowbike Mike as well. The plan right now is me, you, Mike, Greg, and Andy.
I'm gonna have a full house here.
Yeah, man. The next gen begins. We gotta bring the heat for it. With that though, when they announced it and it was like, okay, it's not gonna be any of the first party titles, it's just gonna be third party. I kind of was like, that's a weird rollout. Like, why would you go with the third parties first and then the first parties? Like, I feel like if you're gonna like be the first to come out and talk about next gen and show the games, like you should show your own stuff to sell your system, right? But then I started thinking about it a bit more. And bless, like, how exciting is it that they have the confidence to have an event that is just third parties? To me, that says they're going to have an event that's just first parties. To have an event that's just first parties, it's not just Halo and Forza. They're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, right?
Oh yeah,
that's really exciting. But you know what's cool as fuck too? They've set this up so that they'll be able to have an event that's like every single game we're showing here, it's on Game Pass.
That's true. That's
brilliant marketing, right? Like that is like kind of the best sell you can have is, hey, and then just be like, you can get it now. Get ahead of the curve. You can play all these games already. If you haven't already gotten Game Pass, you can get it and join the club right now. And here's all the reasons you're going to want to stay and move with us into the Series X. Baller marketing. Good for them.
We had a whole conversation yesterday about is Game Pass a success, and for me, it's like the clear success. I was surprised to see how much like we got a little bit of pushback on from like I've seen like forum posts and stuff about like is Game Pass a success when you look at like game sales and all these different things. But like as somebody who's had Game Pass over the last couple of years, like the idea that Outer Wilds came out last spring, right, and that came out on Game Pass, but I didn't hear about it until like a few days after it came out, because it was a game that was kind of under the radar a bit. When people started talking about that game and about how incredible it was, the thing that I was kind of always surprised to hear was that, oh yeah, and it also is available on Game Pass, right? Like I would hear people on podcasts talk about like, oh yeah, this game is like one of the best games I've played this year, and it's on Game Pass. Same with Void Bastards, right? Like these are games that you might not like notice right off the bat because they're lower key and they're more like, I mean, they're indie games, right? It's harder for them to come out and make a splash and really, come out and be Gears 5. But, the fact that there are incredible games that are under the radar that come out and, you hear about them and you realize that you can just get them and play them for basically free, or I guess just with your subscription on Game Pass, I think, speaks volumes to how valuable that service is. And how valuable it's going to be going forward when Xbox is in a place where they are putting out banger after banger, when they are putting out Halo Infinite and Forza, and like, dude, the percentage
Perfect Dark and the Coalition game and all this stuff, man. The
percentage of like the launch window games for Xbox Series X that are going to be Game Pass, dude, like that's going to be a huge selling point. And so I'm very excited for what this fall looks like.
It all starts next week. Let's go.
It all starts next week. Tim, next week is so far away. If I want to know what's coming out to mom and grop shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, we got Super Toy Cars 2 for Xbox One, Chop is Dish for Xbox One, Arcade Spirits for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, Robot Squad Simulator X for Xbox One, Maiden Tower for Xbox One and PC, Gun Crazy for Switch, Fight the Horror for Xbox One, 911 Operator Deluxe Edition for Switch. Kevin, please look that up. Swaparoo for Switch, Down the Rabbit Hole for PSVR, YOLO Mouse for PC, Spin Zap for PC, Zombies Don't Drive for PC, Briefcase Inc. for PC, Battle Team for PC, and then Roller Riot for PC. Some new days for you. I got a tweet from Platinum Games here at Platinum Games. They tweeted out this morning. Due to the spread of COVID-19, the store dates for the physical versions of Wonderful 101 have been postponed. New dates are June 30th for North America and July 3rd for Europe. We apologize to those who have been anticipating the game's arrival and hope everyone is staying safe. Then they followed that tweet up by saying the digital releases for these regions are still as originally planned, May 19th for North America and May 22nd for Europe. And then deal of the day, Crashlands and Amnesia: The Dark Descent are both currently available for free to keep on the Epic Game Store. Kevin, is this 911 Operator Deluxe?
Yep.
I'm always shocked by the things that you can gamify. Honestly, I'm kind of into it though.
There you go.
It looks pretty cool. New single city run mode. It looks like almost like a strategy game with like cutscenes in it.
They got pooches.
You're probably just doing like a lot of management stuff. We couldn't hear anything, and so I assume there might have been like voiceover maybe explaining it, but
I don't know. I have to mute on my end too.
Gotcha.
It is what it is.
Now it's time for reader mail. You can write into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames where you can get the show ad free. And speaking of ads, this episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily is brought to you by Old Spice. This episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily is sponsored by Old Spice Pomade, Old Spice Putty, and Old Spice Styling Gel because great hair always wins. Your hair says a lot about you, and with Old Spice Pomade, you can make it say the right thing. Tim has been using Old Spice Pomade. Also, Greg has, as we've talked about this week on the show for a while now. And Tim loves the look and hold he gets from it. Also, it smells really good, and Gia likes that.
All of it's true. Look at it. This is all thanks to Old Spice right now. Look at that, man.
Look at that.
Look at them waves, dude.
Look at that. Look at all fresh and clean. Gia says it smells good. Old Spice Pomade with medium hold gives your hair a clean, matte finish. It says things like, I'm late for a very important dinner/video meeting to strike very important business deals with very important business folks. Classic Tim stuff. And again, I've been looking at Tim multiple times during the week as we host shows together, Gamescast, KFGD, and all this stuff. And every time I look at Tim, I'm like, man, that is a handsome boy with handsome hair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's all thanks to Old Spice.
Again, thank you, Old Spice, for sponsoring this video. Try Old Spice Pomade, Old Spice Putty, or Old Spice Styling Gel. Let us know how that hold works best for you. Old Spice Hair Pomade. Great hair always wins.
And my hair's a winner.
Robbie Rob writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, hello there, Blessing and Tim. PS Plus subscribers are petitioning right now to change the current games of City Skylines and Farming Simulator 19. I personally enjoy these games, but I don't see them as, quote, best on PlayStation or the type of games that most PlayStation gamers would want to play, but mainly as PC games for a niche market. Should PlayStation listen to subscribers and change the games before the end of the month, or should they stick to their guns and probably follow the agreement with both these games/developers? Tim, have you been following this at all?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so PlayStation came out and announced that City Skylines and Farming Simulator 19 were the PS Plus games. And let me tell you, it wasn't until I read this question where I went to the YouTube video for the announcement and saw the ratio. People are not happy, Tim.
Oh,
People are very upset. I went to the PS blog where like you got the most hardcore of the PlayStation fans, went down the comments. People are not happy.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine they're not happy. I don't think that them being unhappy is going to change much, but I get why they're unhappy. Yeah, it's like that seems like some bad calls that somebody should have looked at and been like, well, maybe we should add something else this month as well if we're gonna have these deals in place.
Yeah, I think the it is like an objectively not good month of PS Plus. That being the case, City Skylines I've heard great things about as a game. I'm sure it's played best on PC, but as a game, I don't know much about it on PS4. But as a game, I know that I've heard good
real
things.
Quick. I really like City Skylines. And
what'd you play it on?
I played it on PC and PS4, and it is fucking terrible on PS4. Terrible. It doesn't run well, and the controls fucking suck.
Oh, okay. So that gives even more context if the PS4 version isn't that great. And then, yeah, Farming Simulator is a similar thing where, like, Farming Simulator fans, I'm sure, might be happy about that, but also Farming Simulator fans probably also have Farming Simulator 20 at this point. Yeah. And so for them to offer up Farming Simulator 19, well, actually, is Farming Simulator 20 out? Because I don't know if they're like sports games where they come out the fall before. I'm gonna Google this real quick.
While
Yeah,
you do
Farming
that,
Simulator 20 came out December 3rd, 2019. It looks like. So yeah.
Bless, I want to jump in actually to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong to get into some stuff, because there was 2 pieces of breaking news that I do think are worth talking about to close out the show here. Nanobiologist says, here's some breaking news. Jeff Keighley's doing an AMA right now on Reddit about the Summer Game Fest event. And he confirmed, yep, Inside Xbox is one of the Summer Game Fest events. Xbox will be sharing more next week on their overall plans, but it's safe to say they have multiple events planned inside Summer Game Fest. So yeah, it is totally just an ownership of just like, let's dabble with all of this and just, kind of present a title around this thing that everyone can have their own little moments.
Yeah,
and I like that it's going to be multiple moments.
I'm curious to see if they say the words Summer Game Fest during the Inside Xbox and how many times they say it if they do.
I guarantee they do. I do think it's just going to be like, and see more at Summer Game Fest. Like, because that's kind of, we know that Inside Xbox, or at least they've implied and heavily that they're going to announce their next plans during this Inside Xbox. That we're going to get some dates for some other stuff. So I can see them not just being like, and our first party showcase is this date. I can also see them being like, here, this date you get this date you get that, this date you get this, and then this.
I'm very curious to see how people talk about this, because I'm with you, right? That like I imagine they say the words Summer Game Fest once, and I'm expecting for the context to be like, yeah, and our next Inside Xbox is gonna be this, and it's gonna be lined up with Summer Game Fest, right? I think the wording is gonna be very particular. I imagine.
And then the other piece of breaking news comes from Robbie Robb. He sent us a gamesindustry.biz link with some pretty crazy updates to some stories we've been covering here. The Last of Us Part 2 leak, the guy that leaked it has been revealed. Let's see.
Neil Druckmann. That's wild, man.
Sony has confirmed to gamesindustry.biz that it has identified the primary individuals responsible for the leaks earlier this week, saying they were not affiliated with Sony Interactive Entertainment or Naughty Dog, as was rumored. The publisher declined to comment further, saying that the information was currently subject to an ongoing investigation. But this news obviously is on gamesindustry.biz, and even Neil Druckmann's tweeted about it. So there you go.
There you go. Some updates on that information. It's good to hear that it wasn't like a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee, as people were theorizing. Because one, like that doesn't make sense as an individual doing that. Like I think Greg mentioned on a previous episode that like that's pretty much career suicide, which like 100%. Like you not only career suicide, but you're getting sued. you're in trouble, right? Like if you do that. Totally. But yeah, it being like a random act from, I don't know how somebody gets their hands on Naughty Dog stuff, whether they broke into somebody's house who's working from home or whatever that may have been. But unfortunate, but there's some more context that I think is useful. But yeah, back to the Farming Simulator thing. I don't think PlayStation should, or I don't think there's any obligation for PlayStation to change the games. I think it'd be cool if they did, but like it's hard for me to complain, right? Like if you look at the dollar value, like that's an $80 value, for both of those games, right? For a PS Plus, which you're paying like $60 for a year. And so like an off month is going to be an off month. We've gotten really good months recently, right? We got Uncharted 4 recently.
The play at home thing, right?
And we got the play at home thing recently, like
which isn't part of PlayStation Plus, but it all works in the same ecosystem.
Yeah. And so like it's hard for me to get angry, at PlayStation, or to like even like want to sign like a petition or anything. Because I think you're going to have off months. Like that's just the thing that's going to happen. Like when you tally things up over the year, like by the end of the year, like it's going to add up to like a great year for PS Plus when you look at the free games. And so yeah, it's hard for me to really get mad or complain in any sort of way. Tim.
Yeah.
It's time to squad up.
Let's do it.
Jackson writes in with a squad up on PS4 and says, well, I'm looking for people to play Apex with. The new season comes out in like a week, and I'm looking for new people to play with. So if you're down to just send me that friend request and let's play a bit. I normally play from about 9 p.m. Mountain Time until 1 or 2 in the morning. I'm also down to play ranked if that's your jam. I made it to Platinum this season, so I can play whatever. Jackson's PSN name is What's His Nuts just what's his nuts? What's his nuts is his PS4 name. That's spelled WUTZ_HIZ_NUTZ. What's his nuts? Now it's time for kindoffunny.com.
Go support What's His Nuts.
Go support What's His Nuts. It's time for kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, where you write in and let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong during the show. I am in You're Wrong right now, and it might be loading. Oh no, I'm only seeing. See here. All right, so I guess there's only one You're Wrong here, and it's from Cape Kebab saying, nipping this one in the bud. If it's inappropriate to say stick around for that regarding the KFTD post show, this is because it's recorded in private without a live audience. The earliest you can watch it is when the full episode is made available through Patreon. The thing Kebabs is there are people who watch it on Patreon, watch like the original show on Patreon, and so it is appropriate for them for me to say stick around for that. I guess it's not appropriate for the rest of the audience, but there is a section of the audience that phrasing is appropriate for. I might amend it. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
We'll have to see how you're feeling.
We'll all have to see
You are
how I'm
King
feeling
Bless.
later on. I'll say it for this episode because I literally have it as a script. Next week's hosts are Monday, it's me and Greg. Tuesday, it's me and Imran. Wednesday, it's Greg and Gary. Thursday, it's Greg and me. And then Friday, it's me and Greg. Of course, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday live right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. We have a Patreon post show for those that are subbed at the silver level of patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. So stick around for that if you're watching this on Patreon right now. Otherwise, until next time, Game Daily.